Hello there, and welcome to another Starfield ship review video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the Spacer Raven, or in my case, the Spacer Raven 2. The number after the name of the ship is the tier of it. The higher the number, the better the stats on the vessel. Aesthetically, the ship will always be the same regardless of the tier. This tier 2 version, for instance, has a reactor with 23 power. A tier 1 ship, tier 1 version of the Raven might have a reactor of 20 power, and then a tier 3 will have a more powerful reactor, probably like 25, 26. But yeah, as the name suggests, this is used by the Spacer faction. You can tell by the color scheme and also the fact it said Spacer. Now, just looking at this is based on the Nova Galactic ship. I know that there's, I want to say it's like either called the Mustang. There's a version called the Warhorse. It's like the bigger brother of the Frontier. It's a pretty interesting looking ship. It's like got that kind of like old school Nova Galactic, like very kind of retro. You got those like kind of lifting thrusters. Whereas some of the newer ships, specifically the Tayo and the Shroud Eklund, they don't really have to worry as much getting out of atmosphere. They just have, you know, downward firing rockets or engines, and then once they get to a certain point, the big engines take over. Whereas this looks like it's more using those like landing gears to actually lift it up and maneuver in a planet's atmosphere. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, on paper, those thrusters, those landing thrusters, like put out more like kind of thrust basically than the engines itself on the back. Anyway, let's take a look at stats. So we've got a fuel of 200, which it's not bad. That's kind of the starting point where you want your fuel to be. Now, ideally, I'd probably stretch for a little bit more if possible, but 200 is not bad. You can get around the galaxy semi-easily. You might have to stop every so often to refuel, and by refuel, I just mean stop. There is no, like, refueling mechanic. It's just like if, let's say, for instance, you make a jump and it's going to take like 190. Once you get there, it'll refill your tank back to 200. Hull is 618, which is kind of low. I mean, it's an A-class. Hull is kind of a difficult stat to measure because there's many things that add to the hull. All modules basically add to the hull, but some add more than others. So it's tricky to basically upgrade a ship's hull without drastically modifying the vessel. But from just how the ship is, with 618 hull, it's not bad. You know, it's average. It's got a cargo capacity of 675, which for an A-class ship isn't bad. You know, it's no like 3 to 4K of like the some of the Hope Tech haulers, but it's acceptable. So stat-wise, we have an A-class reactor with 23 power. I'm just looking to see where I believe that's the reactor underneath there. That's kind of on the lower end. Best reactor in the game for A-class is, I believe, 33. So, you know, you're 10 under. It's got a crew of 2, which is quite low, but then again, this is like a small kind of A-class vessel. You know, it's not meant to carry a lot of people. But then you can put we'll show you at the end, you can swap out that, whatever that module is behind the cockpit, you can swap that out for a control station. It's got a jump range of 15 light years, which is extremely low. I believe that is the lowest you can get on A-class. You might be able to get lower, but yeah, that's no bueno, as they say. That would be another thing I'd recommend upgrading immediately if you're a fan of this ship. Shields, it's got 550, which are not bad. They're about average. The highest shields you can get on a tier or on an A-class is about, I want to say it's around 800 to 900 potentially. So the fact that you're not even like, well, you're a little bit over halfway there, you know. It's decent, but it's not amazing. And then for weaponry, we have lasers, particles, and missiles. So we have 2 lasers mounted there on the dorsal, on that little mount there. You see it on the back, or on the top. And then we have a single particle cannon on the starboard side of the cockpit, and we have a missile pod on the port side of the cockpit. So as always, this ship I'm buying it, but you can't actually buy it. You have to come across it. I'm just buying it for the sake of when I sell a ship to a vendor, I can see the stats unmodified by perks, because I have a couple of perks that modify my stats. So if you do want to get your hand on this ship, the easiest way I found, now it's kind of a bit, some people might disagree with it, it requires using save scumming. So basically what you want to do is you want to jump around in a system until you get ambushed by the space pirates. Now, I don't mean like they fight you straight away. I mean you get the encounter where they ask you to pay them. Every time you get that encounter, at least in my case, now if you're on PC, this might be different, because I know PC players, you probably don't have to save as often because you might have more powerful hardware. But every time that encounter has happened for me, it auto saves just as I kind of exit hyperspace and encounter them. So what you can do is, when that initial ship approaches you, usually he will have two ships, or they will have two ships backing them up. They're random. But if, for instance, it jumps in, let's say it's a Coyote, and then his two backup ships could be Ravens. If they don't have the ship you want, just reload the autosave, and a completely new instance will happen. That's what I did try and get this ship. This was the last spacer ship I needed. So yeah, you can do that method, and it is a bit save scummy. Some people don't like that. They want to find it naturally, I suppose, but that can be very tricky, because I spent probably 2 to 3 hours looking for multiple times looking for specific ships from the NPC enemy factions. So yeah, that's just how you get the ship. Anyway, we're going to quickly jump to our usual spot and showcase it. Alright, so here we are at the usual location. So the thumbnail might look slightly different because I initially took the picture in Porima because I couldn't bring it anywhere else. But then I realized when I'm going to be showcasing upgraded parts, Porima is probably not the best place to get it, so we're back here. But yeah, so it's a pretty cool looking ship. It, like I said, it has that aesthetic of the standard, like old school Nova Galactic ships. It's got those big engines. Anyway, I'll try not to break my leg. Haha. I didn't break my leg. We're good. We got the Nova Galactic entry. We got this neck. I don't like this. For any of you guys, if you also don't like that it's extended, you can. I have a video on my channel where I show you how to merge. It's definitely a plug there. I apologize. Very shameless. Anyway, so we've got the Nova Galactic entryway cargo bay. I really like this one. I feel like out of all of them, I'd like this one on my ship the most, just because it's quite small. It's got little windows, and it's got a little bit of space in here. Anyway, up the bridge we go. So I'm assuming this is going to be quite similar to the original Nova Galactic ship.
Get a moment. Can we talk?
All right, so immediately we have a...
I'm working hard, Captain.
Good job, thanks. Is this a captain's quarters? I believe this is... No, it's not. I don't want to say the fabled words that I'm going to say. You know what? I'm going to switch it up. I believe this is a Nova Galactic living quarters. Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. I will do a teardown at the end just to be sure. It's probably going to be the other one. I like Nova Galactic. It's very lived in. Can't work with these people. We've got beds here. Really, they're like it just feels nice and cozy. And then Sarah's. Yeah, we won't talk about Sarah's doing. We got some more beds here, and yes, so we're gonna. Do we have? Oh, the galley works on this too. Nice. So, see, this is what I know in other videos I've showcased, like oh, the galley doesn't work or the kitchen doesn't work. It's a bit finicky because you would assume it'd be one of these, but no, you have to like look right there. So, yeah, but anyway, so we head back here. We have a Nova Galactic 1x1 storage room, and then there's the docking bay up on top. And then if we head this way.
Hey, how are you?
Let's don't ask why there's dead bodies around the child. I am not her parent. Blame Sam. So we've got the Nova Galactic. I believe this is the Magdalene cockpit. No, actually, I don't think it is. I think it's the other one. I really like this cockpit. I use this cockpit on my gunship build, which another plug if you want to check it out. Anyway, it just feels like it just feels really cool. It's very Pelican vibe. You've got the single seat here, and then back here you've got 2 seats for your crew. You've got the co-pilot there, and then you've got the navigations there. Andrea is doing that. And we've got these little these like footrests, which is really cool. See, some of these, like, Bethesda put like a lot of effort into some of the interiors, and then we get to Tayo, and they're like, yeah, let's just copy Hope. Anyway, we're going to take her off. Now, power-wise, I'm not expecting much from this because it is a lower-tier power plant. We shall see. So, but yet, one thing I will give it to them, these sort of ships look phenomenal when they take off. Like, there's something majestic about seeing those 4 vertical thrusters lifted in the air and then tilt. Yeah, like, there's no way to, like, know... Well, there probably might be a way to know, but I'm not that intelligent. But if there was a way to measure the amount of thrust those landing gear put out, I guarantee you it's more than the engines on the back. Anyway, so I have a perk that increases the power by 5, so for the sake of this video, we're not going to be using that. Actually have a decent amount of power, okay. Now this is just the current configuration. So yeah, so we have 3 sets of weapons. We have the double lasers there. Give the particle. And then we have the missile. And then we'll do a quick speed test. So we have a base speed of, it's going to be 150. Yeah, it's about 150. Which isn't bad. Boost speed around 600. Did anybody see that ship just dart by? It just enter hyperspace towards the planet. And we'll do a quick agility test. These ships are pretty agile. Oh, maybe not. Okay, it's not slow. It's probably average. I'd say it's a 5. Yaw is also a 5, and then the roll. The roll is the roll. We're gonna head down to the planet now and do a teardown, and then we're gonna talk about some potential upgrades. Alright, so here we are in the teardown. We split it into 3 sections. So at the top here, the only habitat module we have is the NG2 Docker from Nova Galactic. Weapons mount on the top, we've got a pair of these Dragon 231P IR pulse lasers. Horizon Defense make them. They're A-class, 1200 range, 6.65 fire rate, 13 damage to shields, and 3 max power. And then we have the shield generator here. This is a Deflector SG40 shield generator from Sextant Shield System. It's an A-class, requires 6 power, and does 550 shield health. Now, straight away, I know that there's a upgraded version of this shield, which we can find this. Okay, so this is the default one. Like I said, A-class 6 power, 550, requires Starship Design 2. This one here requires Starship Design 4. It increases from 550 to 860, so that's an extra 310. It also requires 2 more power. So that's an upgrade path, obviously, if you're going that route of keeping it the same. Now, there's some other alternatives, I believe. Let me check here. They're B-class. These ones here, and there's another option. So these ones, I mean, they're obviously I would recommend going for this one, but if you can't, this is another alternative. This is the 60S Protector Shield Generator, A-class. It requires 8 power instead of 9, and it's 50 less, so 810 instead of 860. And then this obviously requires 4 as well. The price difference between this one is 8k versus 15, so almost double, but not just double. And then we have at the back here, we have the NG170 Grav Drive from Nova Galactic, A-class, 9 power requirement, 14 jump thrust, which in the current config is 15. Now, I've said this before in many of these videos, I love Nova Galactic, they're iconic ships, but these things are very outdated, and these Grav Drives make you realize that these are old ships. For instance, we can get a better Grav Drive for like very little cost. So if we go... So one of the examples I'd probably go for would be, here's an example. So this one here, this is a Relodyne A-class. It requires the same amount of power, It's twice as expensive, requires Starship Design 2, but this brings our jump drive from 15 to 30. So this one here, slap this bad boy on here, and like you're good to go. And obviously you could probably fit it in better if you wanted to, like say you want to put it here. Probably look a lot nicer there, but that's just an option, obviously. That's probably one of the major ones I'd upgrade immediately. And then for the aesthetic pieces, we just have this Nova Cowling 1LTF, this Nova Bracer, and then these Nova Cowling 1LSF and 1LPF, so port and starboard. Now this bracer will kind of, at the end of this teardown, we'll do like a brief upgrade on what you should do or what I would suggest doing. Because I don't really like this bracer being here. Anyway, we move to the middle. We have the Nova Galactic. Oh, it was the Magellan C2 cockpit. Okay, nice. By Nova Galactic. 240 cargo gives crew station of 2, so 2 extra crew. And then to the port side, we have the Infiltrator SC-01 missile launcher from Horizon Defense. A-class, 4500 range, 1 fire rate, 42 damage to hull, but 43.04 damage to shields, and 3 power. I don't know. They must be like tipping them with something that gives them a little bit more. 1% more. And then on the opposite side here, we have the Disruptor 3310 Proton Beam from Horizon Defense. It's an A-class, 4200 range, 3.49 fire rate, 18 hull and shield damage, and then 3 power. And then behind this, we have the Nova Galactic Living Quarters 2x1, and then we have a Nova Galactic Storeroom 1x1. Now, if I was going to swap this out, as you can see here, you can change it for, I would potentially swap it out for, if you want extra space, I would go for a control station. That would bring it up to 4. But if you didn't want a control station and you wanted it to be more usable for yourself, I would definitely put a workshop on it, just so you have the crafting. Anyway, and then for the landing gear, we have 4 of these NG10 landing gear, port, starboard, and then 2 on the back, the exact same landing gear. We have 2 of these M30 Ulysses HE3 tanks from Dogstar, which are pretty decent ones. They're not bad. And then at the back here, we have the reactor, first of all. This is a 370T Stellarator reactor from Amundsen, A-class, 23 power, cost 17k. Now, we all know what I'm going to say here. Well, if you've watched these videos. So this one gives us 23. Now you can go up 1 from 370 to 380. Gives an extra 6 or an extra 3 power. But this requires, it's also more pricey. It's like an extra 8k. Now what I would recommend is this bad boy here. The Spheromatic DC-202 reactor from Deep Core. It's an A-class. It requires 33 power generated, and it costs 33k. It also requires Starship Design 4, but realistically, Starship Design isn't hard to achieve in this game, because all you really have to do is just add stuff. So a little tip here, if you want to level it up fast, just go in and add like 1 of each window. It has to always be different, but yeah, I would recommend this one if you can. This is just the best, and it will increase the performance tenfold. And then for the engines, we have a pair of these White Dwarf 2020 engines from Relodyne, A-class, 3 power, 12,180 engine thrust, and 2,400 maneuvering thrust. Now, let me see if we have an upgraded version of these bad boys. Do we? I believe we do. Yeah, so these are the 2020. These are the 2030. So they're 1k extra. They require Starship Design 2 instead of 1. And they give us an extra about 100. Oh my, okay. So they give 100 engine thrust, but they give 300 maneuvering thrust, which is quite good. Quite a decent jump. So for instance, current config, we have mobility of 72. If we were to remove these and replace them with 2 of these bad boys, we go up to 87. So it's a decent jump. That's what, 15? Yeah, I can count, I swear. So we'll put them bad boys back. And then we don't have any aesthetic pieces on this ship version. And then on the bottom here, we have the NG Landing Base 6, and we have the Polo 2000 cargo hold. So it's not too bad. So we're going to put it back together, and I'm going to show some potential upgrades. So, like I said, one of the first things I would do would be swap this bad boy out here. We're going to go and we're going to put this, where is she? Give me that. We're going to put that there. And then the reactor at the bottom, we're going to remove the reactor and we're going to replace the reactor with the reactor down here. Now what I would do is I would remove this and I would put this here just to give it a kind of a, you know, better look. And then for the fuel, now these aren't bad, you know, they're not bad by a stretch of the imagination. But this ship kind of, it has like a rugged kind of old school look, and I feel like these would complement it better. So if we get 2 of these are, so these weigh 18 and they give 100 grav jump fuel, whereas these ones weigh 33, so a little over 1/3, and they give 2 10s. Now you can strap these here, and I think they add a nice aesthetic to it. Whoops, not that. And then that basically, this doubles your fuel from 200 to 400. I think it looks quite cool. It just adds some cool flair to it. And then obviously on the back with the engines, like I was saying, if we strip these bad boys out and we put in some better engines, where are they? Yes, there you are. Like so. Now what I would recommend doing, if you want a little bit more bang for your buck, so we can strap one of these bad boys here, just to give us a little bit more speed. This is the, am I using the best one? Yeah, this is the Amundsen 7. So this will allow you to get to 97 mobility, which is really, really good. And then for cargo, let's look at the cargo for a minute. See, we want to improve the cargo a little bit without, you know, going too overboard. What cargo do we have? Do we have none that sit under? Oh, this is heavy. Okay, this is very heavy. Why do you not want to snap down? Do you not have a snap point underneath? Okay, we're gonna fiddle with this a little bit. Gonna put that there. We're gonna put the reactor up top, so we have a snap point underneath. Perfect. Now you could use this. Actually, I wouldn't recommend using that. It's a bit too gaudy. Let's see what else we can go with. We want something. Oh, here we go. Here we go. There we go. That's a bit better there. So that is the. That it gives us 760 storage, 20T cargo hauler. That brings our cargo up to 1400. Now that's a lot of cargo. You're obviously sacrificing your mobility. So if you didn't want to sacrifice your mobility, you could probably pull this one out. Slap this one here. Brings your cargo up to 1K, which isn't too bad. And then just we're going to see if we can get some... Again, the structural pieces, it's kind of like hit and miss. I'd probably put something like that there, just to kind of hide it a little better. Those rough edges, though, I'm not overly fond of. Let me just see if there's anything. Let me see, do we have any notch pieces? Maybe that, actually, that might look a little nicer. Yeah, that looks better. That actually looks a lot better, and it makes more sense because it's like it's holding the cargo. Now for the weapons. So in this current configuration, it's not bad at all. But if you want a simple weapon modification, like no frills, you know, bare minimum, these are perfect here. These Dragon Pulse lasers, they'll get the job done. They're not power heavy. But what I would do is I would go with some... you can't go wrong with these autocannons. I'm a huge fan of them. You can slap 2 of these here, like so. So you've got good shield breaking abilities. And then you've got some autocannons there. And then what I would recommend doing for your third weapon, you can go about it a couple of ways. We could put a little suppressor up here if you're planning on taking over ships. It's not bad. If you want a little bit more bang for your buck, we could obviously go with one of these missile launchers. like so. And then, see, we don't have access to turrets at this tier, which is kind of a bit sad. But, oh, whoops. But yeah, so this is kind of entry level. Now, obviously, if you want to rock this ship to the best of its ability, you're going to pull these off. And what you're going to do is, if you've done the Vanguard questline, you're going to use these here. If you haven't done the Vanguard questline, you're going to use these here. So these ones here, these PB-30 electron beams, they only require 3 power, and they do 13 damage, 3.49 fire rate. These ones are better. They're also A class. These are faster fire rate. There's only 2 power, so you could slap. You want overkill mode. 4 of these here, like so, and you're pretty much good to go. That's your max weapon usage on even on very hard. This thing will be competitive. Now, obviously, if you did the Vanguard, I would add these instead, so you can get 6, which even more overkill. But yeah, that's how I'd configure it if it was me. Now, obviously, you can fiddle around with things. Like, if you don't like those fuel tanks, you go with different fuel tanks. If you don't like the engine layout, different engine layout. But I would recommend, the main things I would recommend getting is better reactor, better jump drive, and better shield. That's the main ones. But anyway, as always, thanks for watching this video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this sort of content. And also check out some of my other reviews, and let me know if you guys have flown this. Like, it's quite a good ship to look for, or to look for if you want to upgrade from the Frontier, but you don't want to kind of lose the aesthetic just yet. But anyway, like I said, thanks for watching, guys.